All right, what's good, y'all? This is an optical spot, also known as a snoot, and this creates the spotlight effect we've seen all over social media right now. However, using this alone sometimes can really make your images look a little flat and like everyone else's. So today I'm gonna show you guys a few different ways to jazz up your next spotlight look. Let's get into it. All right, so before we jump into the first creative lighting look, I'm gonna show you guys what just using the optical spot looks like. Okay. All right, so this is the look with just our snoot right here, our key light. So as you can see, there's the shadow around her, your typical snoot look with the shadow around her and the spotlight effect only on our beautiful model Bria. All right, so now what we're gonna do is we're gonna go into our creative looks now, right? So we're gonna keep our key light, the snoot right here, and back there, we're going to introduce a blue gel that's going to bounce into that wall and fill all the shadows around here. So the shadow is the dark area around the circle. So our model Bria will still be illuminated with the spotlight and all of the shadows will be filled with blue. We're gonna see how that looks, all right? Cool, so another rule of thumb, we're gonna keep this video very straight to the point, but I'm gonna do my best to give you guys little gems here and there. So when shooting with multiple lights, you wanna be sure that all your lights are on the same channel, but different groups. The groups are the letters. So our key light is gonna be on group A, and our fill in this scenario is going to be on group B. Here's a comparison for you. The first shot where we only used our optical snoot, and then now the second image where we have our optical snoot, but we also filled the shadow area, the dark area, with the blue light. And you see how that just elevates the look, takes it to another level, and it's not so flat. All right, so we're moving to look number 2, all right? So look number 1, we had 2 lights. Look number 2, we're gonna bring in another light. We're going to bring in a new key light, which is our beauty dish, right? For the purpose of this video, I'm not going to rearrange the order of my groups. So I'm gonna keep this at A, we're gonna keep our fill on B, and we're just gonna bring in our key, our new key at C, right? So the objective of this look now is we want our spotlight to pass by our model and hit the wall, and we're going to put a gel over the spotlight, right? So the circle that lands on the wall is going to be a different color than the color that is filling the scene, right? So we're gonna put an orange gel here, we're gonna change out that blue gel for a red gel, and our new key light, which is a beauty dish, a 21-inch beauty dish, is now going to be the light that is illuminating our model. So let's set that up and I'll show you what that looks like. All right, cool. So we brought our snoot a little forward and 2 cameras left so it can pass by our model. We brought our model forward a little bit. That way, again, this snoot can pass by her, only hit the wall, and create an orange circle on the background with the orange gel. On our new fill, on our fill, we have a red gel that's gonna illuminate the entire scenery. And then our new key, the beauty dish, is gonna illuminate our model. Now, again, another gem. When working with multiple lights, you must bring in each light individually first. That way you can see how each light affects your scenery. You don't want to just bring in all of them at one time. You kind of want to find the equilibrium between all the lights. All right, so that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna bring in each light one by one and see what colors we get and how it illuminates our model. All right, so we brought one light in. You guys can see that red is well saturated in our scenery. We really like that. Let's bring in this snoot now. So you can see the circle is directly behind her. Of course, it's a little bit skewed because it's off center, and the way light hits flat surfaces you know, going from left to right. It's gonna skew the circle a little bit, but we're not upset at that. Remember, we're creating something dynamic, something unique, something no one else has. So let's cook. Let's bring in our key light now. All right, so this looks good. See the image on the screen, right? But if you notice, we're losing a little bit of the saturation on the background. And that's because our key light isn't feathered far enough this way to where the light doesn't spill on the background, right? So I also want to bring up the light on her, on our model. So in order to do that and reduce the spill that goes on the background, I'm going to feather it more this way, right? Boom, right? So it's all about preference and style. You're going to see now that, of course, our model's going to have a little bit more of a harsh shadow on one side of her face. In a scenario like this, what I would do is I'm simply going to have our model do most of her poses where her face is this way. So even if her body is left this way, her face is still turned towards our key light, whether that be like a head tilt this way, look-offs, things like that. So of course, her face is a little bit more evenly lit. All right, so let's see what that looks like. Nice. Like eyes closed for some of these. All right, we arrived at look number 3. So I've taken the gel off of our snoot. Our snoot is going back to being our key light, and we've added a second snoot, or I'm not sure exactly what it's called, but it's a snoot light. It's not an optical spot. There's no projection. It literally just creates a circle. It mimics a spotlight. You don't have much control in terms of the sharpness of the circle, but you can control the direction. And if you place it closer to your source, it's smaller. If you move it away from your source, it's larger. So for this look, we're going to create like 2 spotlights in a sense. One is going to be on the ground and one is going to be on the wall. So let's set that up. Let's figure out our lighting and let's cook. All right, cool. So we've dialed in our look. So we have our snoot, our key light that's directly hitting our model, and it's passing off to the side to camera right. And then we have our other snoot, not our optical spot, just our cone, for lack of better words, pointed at the ground, right? And we have multiple shadows going. I feel like this just makes it very interesting. Our model with this pose that our model is doing is pretty good. This very stoic, kind of, for lack of better words, lifeless look is really nice. So let's cook. All right, so we cooked, right? So this 2 spotlight look is super interesting, super dynamic. And it's just another way to elevate your photography and provide your clients or even give your portfolio something new, something refreshing. As you can see, with the tighter shots, without seeing the one on the ground, it feels like a whole different image. And then the far shots, of course, you have, you know, what we're going for, that dynamic look. All right, so we arrived at the final and 4th look. Okay, so for this one, we're gonna switch it up a little bit. Our key light is now going to be this light with a 10-degree grid over here. This is going to be our key light. This is gonna hit our model. It's very specular lighting, very narrow field of lighting. We're only trying to illuminate pretty much her face and maybe the top of her chest. And we have a red gel on our snoot. So the snoot is gonna hit our model directly, and then we're gonna have this 10-degree grid illuminate her face. So let's see what that looks like. Let's get some test shots up. All right, so we've dialed in our lighting. So a few changes we made. So we brought our model a little bit forward in the scene, only because I don't want too much of that spill from our key light hitting the background, because that would affect the effect that our snoot is creating on the wall. And our snoot, I moved it a little bit more centered. Also, that way her shadow didn't push too much to her left. Her shadow falls a little bit more directly behind her, just a little off to the left. So we like this, we like where we're at. We're gonna cook now.